Okay, so
Yeah.
get ready for this. Today we're going to do a deep dive into manifesting your desires.
Oh,
And get this, in just 3 days.
3 days.
3 days. Now, I know that might sound a little out there,
Yeah.
but stick with me because even if you're not, super into the whole manifestation thing, the source material that we're looking at, it actually has some pretty insightful stuff about mindset and achieving your goals, and that's something that anyone can benefit from, right?
Sure.
So we're going to dig into this excerpt, and it breaks down this whole process step by step.
Okay. Sounds good.
So let's jump in.
All right, let's do it.
So one of the things that I thought was really interesting about this excerpt is that it pulls a lot from the work of Napoleon Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of him?
Absolutely. He's kind of a legend.
Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah, in the personal development world. Yeah.
Exactly. And his ideas about how to harness the power of your mind, they're just as relevant today as they were back then. So one of the things that really stood out to me was this idea that everything starts with having a really, really clear desire.
Okay.
Which makes sense, right?
Okay.
Like, if you don't even know what you're aiming for,
Right.
how are you going to hit the target?
Exactly. Yeah. You need to know where you're going.
It's
It's like trying to build a house without a blueprint.
yeah, exactly.
You need that vision. You need that clarity to really guide your actions and your decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Hill takes it even a step further and talks about how clarity is magnetic.
Okay.
I know that sounds a little,
Ooh.
a little out there, but what does that even mean?
Right. So think about it this way. When you're super clear about what you want,
Okay.
it's like you're sending out this strong signal to the universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
You start to notice opportunities that maybe you wouldn't have seen before.
Oh, interesting.
You might attract the right people. You might attract the right resources into your life. And it's almost like your intention, that focus that you have, is creating this ripple effect
Yeah.
and drawing everything you need to make that desire a reality.
That's a cool way to think about it. So it's
Yeah.
not just about having this wishy-washy hope for something. It's about defining your goal with laser focus.
Absolutely, yeah. Precision is key.
Okay, so we've got our clear desire locked in. What's next?
All right, so the next step, according to this excerpt, is to cultivate what they call faith.
Okay.
Now, before you think we're getting all religious on you,
Right.
it's not about blind faith. It's more about acting as if your goal is already a done deal, even if you don't necessarily see the evidence just yet.
Okay, I like that. But how do you act as if something is true when it's not?
Right. Well, think of it like training your mind.
Yeah.
Kind of like, when an athlete visualizes their perfect performance. You're basically convincing your subconscious that what you want is already real. You do this through, things like visualizations, affirmations, and really embodying those emotions that you would feel if you'd already achieved your goal.
So, okay, say I'm dreaming of landing this new job.
Okay.
I should, picture myself in the interview totally crushing it.
Yes.
Feeling that excitement of getting the offer. Even imagine myself on the first day, rocking my new work outfit.
Exactly. And actually, the excerpt, it gives a great example
Oh, really?
of a woman who did this, and she was visualizing getting this very specific job.
Okay.
And guess what? She nailed the interview, got the offer,
Wow.
and she even wore the exact outfit that she had imagined herself wearing on her first day.
No way. That's so wild.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, so by, acting as if you're kind of setting the stage in your mind.
Yes.
And then that influences your actions in the real world.
Absolutely. And the more you repeat these visualizations, these affirmations, the more your subconscious mind starts to accept this as your new reality. It's like planting a seed and watering it every day.
Right. Yeah.
You're nurturing that belief until it's so strong that it starts to manifest in your external world.
Okay, so we've got the clear desire. We're cultivating that as if faith.
Yes.
But then what? How do we actually make this thing happen?
That's where inspired action comes in.
Okay.
And the source really emphasizes that it's not about just rushing into action. It's about moving forward with purpose and with intention.
Yeah.
Each step you take should feel aligned with your vision
Okay.
and fueled by this inner knowing that you're on the right track.
So it's not about frantically checking things off a to-do list. It's more about taking steps that feel good and right.
Exactly.
Even if we don't have the entire path figured out yet.
Precisely. It's about trusting that the next step will be revealed when it needs to be revealed.
Okay.
You stay open to that guidance, those opportunities, and be willing to course correct as you go.
Yeah, that reminds me of this thing I read about, overcoming procrastination. And they said, like, break down these big, overwhelming goals into smaller, like, bite-sized pieces and just focus on that first tiny step and then the next one and the next one. It's less about, like, knowing the entire journey and more about building momentum as you go.
That's a great way to put it. Think of it like climbing a mountain.
Okay, yeah.
You don't focus on the entire ascent all at once. You focus on the next foothold, the next handhold, and before you know it, you're at the top.
You're at the summit.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got desire, we've got faith, and now inspired action.
Right.
But I'm guessing it's not always smooth sailing.
You got it.
What happens when we hit those inevitable roadblocks?
Yeah, so that's where this excerpt really gets into, like, the real nitty-gritty of personal development.
Okay.
And it talks about the importance of persistence and flexibility.
Okay.
Setbacks. They're just part of any journey. And the key is to not see them as failures, but as opportunities for growth.
Oh.
They might even be, like, a sign that you need to adjust your approach.
So it's not about avoiding challenges altogether. It's about learning to bounce back stronger and adapt as we go.
Yes. Remember, the goal stays the same, but the path to get there, that might need some tweaking along the way.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is already giving me so much to think about.
Good, good.
It feels like we're building this really cool foundation for manifesting our desires. We've got the desire, we've got the belief, we've got the action.
Yeah.
And now we've got, like, the resilience to handle whatever comes our way.
Exactly.
So what else is in this, like, treasure trove of wisdom?
Well, the source also goes into some other really interesting concepts, like the power of gratitude.
Ooh, that's one I've heard a lot about.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how it connects to manifesting desires.
Let's do it.
Let's unpack that in part 2 of this deep dive.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, so ready to explore how gratitude ties into all of this?
Yeah, definitely. It seems like gratitude is, like, having a major moment these days.
For sure.
Everybody's talking about gratitude journals and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear how this source connects it to, like, actually achieving your goals.
Yeah, so it's pretty fascinating, actually.
Okay.
The excerpt, it suggests that gratitude isn't just about feeling good. It's about shifting your entire energy.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on what you lack, you're really tuning into what you already have.
Okay.
And that, according to the source, creates this really powerful energy that attracts even more good things into your life.
So it's like that whole, like, attracts, like, principle.
Exactly.
If you're, like, vibrating at a frequency of gratitude,
Yes.
you're going to attract more things to be grateful for.
That's the idea.
Okay, yeah.
And it actually takes it a step further. It even suggests being grateful for things that you haven't even achieved yet.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
It's like you're thanking the universe in advance for delivering on your desires.
Okay, that's a new one for me. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I can kind of see the logic.
Right.
Like, if you're constantly dwelling on the absence of something, you're kind of sending out this, like, vibe of lack. It's like, hey, universe, I don't have this and I really need it.
Exactly.
But if you shift your mindset to gratitude, it's more like, hey, universe, thanks for bringing this awesome thing into my life. I can't wait to experience it.
Yeah, it's subtle,
Yeah,
but it's a really powerful shift in perspective.
for sure.
And it ties back to that idea of acting as if, remember we were talking about that?
Yeah.
By expressing gratitude in advance, you're embodying that feeling of already having achieved your goal,
Right.
which can actually help bring it into reality.
Yeah. Okay. I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Okay, so we've got gratitude. What's the next ingredient in this, like, manifestation recipe?
All right, so the source talks a lot about the importance of your environment.
Okay.
It's not just about what's going on inside your head. It's also about, like, the people, the places, the things that you surround yourself with.
Right, because negativity can be contagious, right?
Absolutely.
But so can positivity.
Exactly.
So it makes sense that if you want to manifest amazing things, you need to be in an environment that, like, supports that.
Yeah, you want to be surrounded by that good energy.
Exactly.
The source argues that, like, negative influences, those can really drain your energy,
Yeah,
cloud your judgment,
totally.
while positive influences can really uplift you and inspire you. So it's about being mindful of, who you're spending time with,
Yeah.
the type of media you're consuming, even like the way you decorate your living space,
Yeah.
your workspace,
Oh my gosh, yes.
all of that.
I can totally relate to that. Like, if I spend too much time, scrolling through social media,
Yeah, I feel that.
I start comparing myself to others and it just brings me down.
Totally.
But if I'm spending time in nature or like with friends who are supportive and encouraging, I feel so much lighter,
Yes.
so much more energized.
Yeah, that's a perfect example
Yeah.
of how your environment has a really tangible impact on your mindset and your ability to actually achieve your goals.
Totally, totally.
Speaking of taking action, the next principle, the source highlights, is the power of making clear decisions.
Decisions, interesting. What's the connection between like decision making and manifesting your desires?
So the excerpt, it argues that indecision is like this energy vampire that keeps you stuck.
Okay.
When you can't make up your mind about something, you're sending out these mixed signals,
Right.
and it makes it almost impossible to move forward.
Yeah.
But when you make a clear decision,
Okay.
it's like you're flipping a switch.
Oh, I like
You're
that.
telling the universe, okay, I'm ready, let's do this.
Yeah, it's like ripping off a Band-Aid.
Exactly.
Sometimes you just got to commit and go for it. Even if you don't have every single detail figured out,
That's right.
like just jump in.
The source even suggests that once you make that decision, you fully commit to it, leave no room for doubt,
Okay.
no second guessing,
No looking back.
no looking back. Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got gratitude, we've got environment, we've got decision making. What else does this source have in store for us?
Right. So the next principle is one that a lot of people struggle with,
Okay.
and that's self-discipline.
Ah, yes, the dreaded self-discipline.
Right. The excerpt argues that without it,
Yeah.
even the best intentions, they can just fizzle out.
Yeah, it's like that saying, motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going.
That's so true.
It's one thing to get excited about a goal, but it's another thing to actually show up every day and do the work,
Right.
even when you don't feel like it.
Exactly. And that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
A consistent effort,
Yeah,
even when it's hard. That's what really separates those dreamers from the achievers.
totally.
And the source actually gives a bunch of strategies for cultivating self-discipline.
Oh, cool.
From building those positive habits and routines to managing distractions and staying focused on that long-term vision.
Yeah, it's interesting because so much of what we've been talking about is like inner work, right?
Yeah.
Mindset, beliefs, emotions.
Yeah.
But this idea of self-discipline is kind of where the rubber meets the road.
Yes.
It's about taking those inner shifts and translating them into consistent action in the real world.
You nailed it. And the source goes on to emphasize another aspect of that inner work that's just as important.
Okay.
Your self-image.
Self-image. Okay.
It argues that you'll never achieve more than you believe you're capable of and worthy of.
Right. So if you see yourself as like limited or unworthy,
Yeah,
your results are going to reflect that.
exactly. The excerpt suggests that your self-image is like this invisible blueprint
Okay.
that shapes your reality.
Oh.
So if you want to achieve great things,
Yeah.
you have to start by believing that you're capable of achieving great things.
It makes sense.
Oh.
If you don't believe in yourself, who will?
Exactly.
And I'm assuming the source gives some tips on how to build a more positive self-image.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
It talks about the power of affirmations,
Yeah.
visualizations, and even challenging those negative thoughts and beliefs that might be holding you back.
Okay, so we've covered gratitude, environment, decision-making, self-discipline, self-image.
And we're getting there.
We're getting a pretty comprehensive picture of what it takes to manifest our desires.
Yes, we're laying the groundwork.
So what else is on the agenda?
Well, the source also dives into the importance of time management.
Oh, the eternal struggle. I
Right.
feel like I'm always trying to like cram more into my day.
Yeah.
But maybe that's not the best approach.
Well, and the excerpt actually makes a really interesting point about that.
Okay.
It argues that time management isn't about fitting more in. It's about prioritizing what really matters.
Interesting.
It's about identifying the activities that actually move you closer to your goals
Okay.
and making sure those are the things that get your time and energy.
So it's about being more intentional with how you spend your time.
Yes.
And making sure your actions are aligned with like your values.
Exactly. Your aspirations.
It might even mean saying no to things
Yeah.
that don't serve you, delegating tasks,
Yeah.
being mindful of how you even spend your leisure time.
Oh, great points. Yeah. I feel like we've covered so much already.
We've made a lot of progress.
Well, what else does this source go into?
Well, it also talks about the importance of facing our fears,
Ooh, that sounds juicy.
right?
I'm always up for a good challenge.
Okay, good.
Let's tackle that, along with any other remaining principles
Yeah.
in part 3 of this deep dive.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so we are back for the final part
Mhm.
of our deep dive into manifesting desires.
Yes.
And we've already unpacked so much good stuff.
We have about mindset, gratitude, self-discipline, you name it.
It's been a journey.
It has. It really has.
Yeah.
So what's next on the list?
Well, the source goes into something that I think we all struggle with at some point.
Okay.
And that is fear.
Fear. Yeah.
But it offers a really kind of fresh perspective on it.
Okay.
It suggests that fear can actually be a really powerful guide.
Hold on, really. Usually we're told to
Conquer it.
conquer our fears or push past them.
Right.
But this source is saying that we should lean into it.
Yeah, it's not so much about conquering fear or ignoring it.
Okay.
It's more about understanding it.
Mm-hmm.
Not letting it control you,
Yeah.
but using it as information.
Okay.
The excerpt suggests that fear, a lot of times, it points to the areas where we're holding ourselves back.
Oh, interesting.
It highlights our limiting beliefs and the areas where we need to kind of step outside of our comfort zone in order to grow.
So instead of running away from fear, we should almost be getting curious about it.
It's like, okay, fear, what are you trying to tell me?
Yes. What's the message here?
Yeah, where am I playing it safe and maybe missing out on opportunities?
Exactly. And the source, it emphasizes that real growth.
Yeah.
It happens when we push past those boundaries, those self-imposed limitations.
Right.
And fear is often a signpost that we're on the right track,
Okay.
that we're actually challenging ourselves to grow and expand.
I'm starting to see fear in a whole new light. It's not the enemy.
Yeah.
It's more like a compass pointing us towards where we need to go next.
I love that analogy, yeah.
So speaking of going further,
Yeah.
the source also talks about the importance of collaboration.
Oh, yeah, huge.
Yeah.
It argues that we can achieve so much more when we work together,
Mhm.
when we leverage each other's strengths,
Yeah.
support each other through the tough times.
Totally agree. I'm a huge believer in the power of community,
Yeah.
teamwork. We're not meant to do this whole life thing alone.
No, we're not islands. No, and having people to brainstorm with, to encourage you, to celebrate your wins, it makes such a difference.
For sure. And it's not about diminishing your own individuality either.
Right.
The source emphasizes that collaboration allows you to bring your own unique talents to the table while also learning from others
Right.
and creating something way bigger than you could do on your own.
Yeah, it's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together.
That's a good one.
So we've got facing our fears, we've got embracing collaboration. What else does the source highlight?
It also stresses the importance of continuous learning.
Okay.
It argues that the world is constantly changing, right?
Yeah.
And if we want to kind of stay ahead of the curve
Yeah.
and achieve our goals,
Keep growing.
we have to be committed to being lifelong learners.
It makes sense. It's so easy to fall into a rut and think oh, I've got it all figured out. But there's always something new to discover, a new skill to hone, some new perspective to gain that can open up so many more possibilities.
I love that. Yeah, and the source really encourages us to be open to new experiences.
Yeah.
Seek out mentors. Never stop feeding that curiosity.
That resonates with me so much.
Yeah,
I truly believe that learning keeps us young,
it does.
keeps us engaged, and opens up all kinds of doors.
Speaking of doors opening, the source wraps up by emphasizing the importance of purpose.
Purpose. Yeah.
It argues that having that clear sense of purpose gives our lives meaning and direction.
Yeah.
And it's really that driving force behind, true lasting success.
I think that's so key when you have a really strong sense of purpose. It's
Yeah.
like having a guiding star,
Mm-hmm.
It helps you navigate decisions and stay motivated, even when things get tough.
It's like that internal compass that keeps you on track.
Yes.
And the source suggests that when you're aligned with your purpose, everything else just kind of falls into place more easily.
Oh, no.
Your decisions are clear, your actions are more focused, your energy is more aligned.
And that brings us to the final point, which I think is the most important of all.
Okay, let's hear it.
Finding joy in the journey.
Ah, yes.
The source reminds us that it's not just about the destination.
Right.
It's about enjoying the process of getting there.
It's about the ride,
Yes.
the ups and downs.
Yeah, celebrating those small wins,
Yes.
learning from those setbacks,
For sure.
finding moments of gratitude and delight along the way.
I love that.
So, to recap our deep dive into manifesting desires,
Okay.
we've explored a whole toolkit of strategies,
Mm-hmm.
from clarifying our desires and cultivating that unwavering faith
Yes.
to taking inspired action
Mm.
embracing persistence, flexibility,
Yeah,
gratitude, and a supportive environment.
it's a lot,
It is a lot.
but it's all important.
And we talked about the power of making clear decisions, developing self-discipline, building a positive self-image, managing our time wisely, facing our fears, collaborating with others, embracing continuous learning, and most importantly,
Yes.
aligning with our purpose
That's key.
while finding joy in the journey.
Absolutely.
Phew, that was a lot, but so worth it.
So worth it.
It was a really great exploration and I think a powerful reminder that we have way more control over our lives
We do.
than we often realize, and that we have the ability to shape our reality,
Yes.
achieve our dreams, and live a life filled with purpose, meaning, and joy.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And that wraps up our deep dive into manifesting desires.
It does.
What resonated with you most from this conversation?
That's a good question.
And more importantly, how can you apply these principles to your own life?
I think that's the key takeaway.
It is.
Yep.
Think about a goal you're working towards. What's one small step you can take today, fueled by that clear vision and that act as if faith?
I love that.
We'd love to hear from you, so share your thoughts on social media
Yeah, let us know.
using the hashtag Deep Dive Manifesting.
Okay.
Until next time, keep diving deep
Keep learning.
and keep manifesting those desires.
Exactly.